It was almost midnight when Sophia wiped down the last table, her fingers aching from a 12-hour shift. The diner was nearly empty, just the hum of the coffee machine and the soft murmur of rain tapping the windows. She glanced at the clock. 10 more minutes. Then, the door creaked open. A tall man stepped in, drenched, quiet, and oddly out of place. His coat was soaked through, his shoes leaving wet prints on the black and white floor tiles. He looked tired. Not just from the rain, but from life itself. Sophia forced a smile. "Kitchen's closing soon, sir, but I can still get you something warm." The man nodded silently and slid into the far corner booth, the one nobody ever chose. His gaze stayed low, as if he didn't want to be seen. Sophia poured him coffee, black. No sugar. No cream. He didn't touch it. He just stared into the steam, lost somewhere far away. She hesitated. "Rough night." He gave a faint smirk. "You could say that." His voice was low, calm, the kind that carried a quiet authority, like he'd spent his life being listened to. Sophia noticed his watch. It wasn't flashy, but something about it whispered expensive. Still, his eyes, those tired blue eyes, told a different story. He ordered only soup and bread. Barely ate. Then, as he stood to leave, Sophia noticed the untouched food. "Wait," she said, grabbing a small takeout box. "Don't waste it. Here, for later." He looked surprised. "You don't have to do that." "I know," she said softly, closing the lid and handing it to him. "But you look like someone who could use a little kindness tonight." He stared at her for a long moment, almost studying her face, like he was searching for something he'd lost a long time ago. Then he nodded slowly. "Thank you, Miss Sophia." He gave a small, almost invisible smile. "I'll remember that." And with that, he left. Outside, thunder rolled. Sophia watched him disappear into the dark, clutching the small white box. Something about him lingered, a strange heaviness, a sense that this wasn't just another customer. She didn't know it yet, but that single act of kindness would change her entire life. The next morning, a sharp knock jolted her awake. 3 knocks. Firm. Official. She opened the door, and froze. A man in a black suit stood there, holding a briefcase. His expression was unreadable. "Miss Sophia Turner?" Yes." He handed her an envelope, sealed with gold embossing. "I'm here on behalf of Mr. Robert Langford." Sophia frowned. "Who?" The man adjusted his tie. "Mr. Langford asked me to deliver this personally. He said you gave him dinner last night." Her stomach dropped. That man, the one from the diner? She took the envelope, her fingers trembling. Inside, a single note read, "You gave me more than food. You gave me hope. R.L." And beneath it, a key. To what? She had no idea. But one thing was certain. Her ordinary life had just become extraordinary. What would you have done if a stranger left you a key with no explanation? Sophia sat on the edge of her couch, the golden key glinting in her trembling hand. The morning sunlight streamed through the blinds, slicing across her face, and across the embossed letter that had arrived with it. "Robert Langford," she whispered to herself. The name meant nothing. She'd never met anyone like that before, at least, not knowingly. She flipped the key over. A small number was engraved on the back, Suite 904. Her heart thudded. "Sweet," she muttered. "Like a hotel?" The man in the suit had already left, leaving only a faint scent of cologne and 1,000 questions behind. Sophia couldn't shake the image of the drenched stranger from last night, his quiet sadness, the way he'd said, "I'll remember that." And now this. She grabbed her jacket and bag, stuffing the key inside. "This is insane," she muttered. "But I have to know." By noon, she was standing in front of the Regal Grand Hotel, the tallest building in the city. The kind of place she'd only ever walked past, never inside. The lobby alone looked like a dream. Marble floors, golden chandeliers, a piano that probably cost more than her entire apartment. "Can I help you, ma'am?" the receptionist asked politely. Sophia swallowed hard. I think I have a key to a room here." The woman smiled professionally. "Name, please." Sophia hesitated. "It's not under my name. It says Suite 904. The receptionist typed something, her brows lifting slightly. "One moment, please." Minutes passed. Then the woman returned, holding out a small card. "Suite 904 is on the top floor, Miss Turner. You've been cleared for access." "Cleared?" "Yes, by Mr. Langford himself." Sophia blinked. "Wait, so he's alive?" The receptionist smiled faintly. "Of course, ma'am. He was here earlier this morning." Sophia's pulse raced. She stepped into the elevator, the doors closing with a soft hiss. As it rose, she watched the city fall away beneath her. The streets, the cars, her ordinary world. Ding. 9th floor. The hallway was silent, carpeted in deep crimson. The air smelled faintly of cedar and something expensive she couldn't name. At the end of the hall, Suite 904. Her fingers shook as she slid the key in and turned it. Click. The door swung open. She froze. The suite wasn't just a room, it was a masterpiece. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a grand piano in the corner, and a view of the skyline that stole her breath. On the dining table sat a note. Sophia stepped closer. "Kindness opens more doors than money ever could. R.L." Beside it, a black envelope with her name embossed in gold. Her throat tightened. Inside was a check. She gasped. 6 zeros. More money than she'd ever seen in her life. And another note, handwritten this time. "This isn't a gift. It's an opportunity. Meet me at noon tomorrow. Same diner." Her heart pounded in her chest. She whispered to herself, "Who is this man?" The city lights reflected off the piano keys, flickering like stars. And in that moment, Sophia realized, whatever this was, it was only just beginning. Would you trust a mysterious stranger if they handed you a key and a fortune? The next day, the diner felt different. The same clatter of dishes. The same smell of burnt coffee. Yet, to Sophia, everything felt charged, like electricity waiting to strike. Every time the door chimed, her heart skipped. Customers came and went, truck drivers, college kids, tired office workers, but not him. Then, just as the lunch rush died down, the bell jingled again. He walked in. Robert Langford. The man from the rain. But this time, he wasn't wearing the worn-out coat. He wore a dark suit, clean, pressed, and sharp. The kind that whispered power. His shoes gleamed. His posture was straight. His eyes, those same blue eyes, were no longer weary, but steady and focused. Sophia froze mid-step. "You." He smiled slightly. "I hope you don't mind me dropping by unannounced again." Her voice caught. You look different." He chuckled softly. "People tend to clean up when they have a reason to." She didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or scream at him for turning her world upside down in 24 hours. "Why me? Why the key, the money, all of this?" Robert's expression softened. "Because you saw a man, not a wallet. That's rare." He motioned toward a booth. "May I?" She nodded, still dazed, sliding into the seat across from him. For a few seconds, silence. The air between them felt heavy, like both were aware this conversation would change everything. "I wasn't completely honest last night," he began. "My name is Robert Langford. I own Langford Holdings, construction, tech, media, a little of everything." Sophia blinked. "So, you're really a billionaire?" He smiled faintly. "So they tell me. But why were you here? Dressed like that? Alone?" Robert looked out the window. "Because I was testing something. Myself. I've spent years surrounded by people who pretend, Friends who smile because of what I have, not who I am. I wanted to remember what it felt like to be unseen. He paused. And then you came along. Sophia frowned. I just gave you leftovers. He shook his head. No. You gave me kindness with no reason. You gave me what money can't buy. She didn't know what to say. Her throat tightened, emotion swelling unexpectedly. Robert reached into his jacket and placed a small folder on the table. Inside, you'll find documents. I want to offer you something. She hesitated before opening it. Her eyes widened. A job? At Langford Foundation. He nodded. You said you wanted to go to college once, didn't you? My assistant mentioned it after talking with the hotel staff. Her cheeks flushed. How did? He smiled. Let's just say I'm good at finding people with potential. Sophia's voice cracked. This feels like a dream. Then wake up and make it real, he said gently. You'll be working directly with me, managing a new initiative to help struggling single parents. You'll have housing, training, and a salary that matches your effort. Tears welled in her eyes. Why are you doing this? Robert leaned forward, his tone soft but firm. Because once, someone gave me a second chance when I had nothing. I'm just passing it on. The diner went silent for a long moment. The air thick with emotion, gratitude, disbelief. Finally, Sophia whispered, When do I start? He smiled. Tomorrow morning. But tonight. He stood, leaving a generous tip on the table. Eat something that isn't diner food. As he walked out, the bell chimed again, that same soft sound from the night before. But this time, it carried hope. Sophia looked at the folder again, her hands shaking. This wasn't charity. It was a doorway. And she had the key. Would you have trusted his offer, or walked away, thinking it was too good to be true? Sophia stood in front of the towering Langford Foundation building, clutching her worn purse. The glass reflected the morning sunlight, bright, intimidating, full of promise. She took a deep breath. This is it. Inside, the marble lobby buzzed with activity. Employees in crisp suits hurried past, their footsteps echoing across the polished floor. Everyone looked confident, important. She, on the other hand, felt small. Miss Turner. A voice called. Sophia turned to see a woman in her 40s, elegant and composed. I'm Evelyn Shaw, Mr. Langford's executive assistant. Welcome aboard. Sophia smiled nervously. Thank you. I still can't believe this is real. Evelyn's lips curved slightly. You'll get used to it. Follow me, please. They walked through glass doors into an open workspace overlooking the city. Evelyn stopped beside a sleek desk stacked with folders. You'll start here, administrative support for the Community Renewal Project. Sophia nodded, eager. I'm ready to work hard. Evelyn's eyes softened. I believe you are. Mr. Langford sees something in you. Don't lose that. For the next few hours, Sophia buried herself in papers, learning, organizing, absorbing. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling she was being watched. Every time she glanced up, someone new seemed to be observing her, a manager pausing too long, an intern whispering. It wasn't paranoia. It was evaluation. At noon, Evelyn appeared again. Mr. Langford would like to see you. Sophia's stomach fluttered. She followed Evelyn through a corridor lined with framed photos, children, families, schools the foundation had rebuilt. Finally, they reached a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows. Robert Langford stood there, hands in his pockets, staring out at the skyline. Come in, Sophia, he said without turning. She stepped forward. You wanted to see me? He nodded slowly. I did. Sit down. She did. Silence stretched for a moment. Then he turned to face her. His expression was calm, but there was something different this time. More serious. Tell me, he said quietly, why did you take the job? Sophia blinked. Because, It's a chance to change my life. To do something that matters. He studied her face. Not for the money? Or to impress anyone? She shook her head firmly. No. You could take it all back tomorrow, and I'd still show up. Robert smiled faintly. That's what I wanted to hear. She frowned. What do you mean? He walked to his desk and picked up a folder, thick, labeled, Test Program. He handed it to her. This entire position, this office, this team, was created for one purpose. To see how far a single act of kindness can go. You, Sophia, were the final test. She froze. You mean, all of this? He nodded. The moment you gave me that box of leftovers, I knew you were genuine. So I wanted to see if kindness could survive success. Sophia's voice trembled. You were testing me? Robert's tone softened. Not testing you. Testing humanity. And you passed. Tears stung her eyes. So what now? He smiled. Now, you lead the entire initiative. You'll run the kindness program, expanding it to every city we serve. She gasped. Me? But You've earned it, he interrupted gently. People like you remind the world that compassion isn't weakness. It's strength. Sophia covered her mouth, overwhelmed. Robert looked at her, eyes glinting with pride. The world doesn't change because of billionaires, Sophia. It changes because of waitresses who care enough to share leftovers. Outside, sunlight spilled across the glass, painting the room in gold. Sophia exhaled, a shaky, disbelieving laugh. She had come so far from that rainy night. But destiny, it seemed, wasn't done with her yet. If you discovered your kindness was being tested, would you feel grateful or betrayed? Months passed. Under Sophia's leadership, the Kindness Initiative spread like wildfire. She traveled city to city, visiting shelters, funding education programs, giving struggling workers a second chance. Everywhere she went, people said the same thing, you changed my life. But Sophia always smiled humbly and said, someone once did the same for me. One evening, after a long day, she stood on the balcony of the Langford Foundation headquarters, watching the sunset. The city glowed below her, alive, vibrant, hopeful. Behind her, the office door opened. Robert stepped out, holding 2 cups of coffee. Still working. She laughed softly. Trying to keep up with you. He handed her a cup. You've done more than keep up. You've rebuilt lives, Sophia. She took a sip, the warmth spreading through her hands. I still don't understand why you picked me. Out of everyone in the world. Robert leaned on the railing beside her. Because you didn't see a billionaire. You saw a man in need. You gave without expecting anything. That kind of heart, it can change the world. Sophia looked down at the streets below, at the people walking, laughing, living. Do you ever think about that night? The diner. Robert smiled faintly. Every day. It reminded me what truly matters. For a moment, silence. Just the wind and the fading hum of the city. Then Robert turned to her, his expression softening. You know, I wasn't entirely honest about one more thing. She raised an eyebrow. There's more. He chuckled. There's always more. The foundation, the tests, they weren't just about charity. They were about finding someone to lead after me. I've been searching for years. Her heart skipped. Robert, are you saying? He nodded slowly. Yes. I want you to take over the Langford Foundation. Fully. You have the heart it needs. Sophia's eyes widened, tears threatening to fall. I can't. I'm not. Yes, you are, he said firmly. You're proof that kindness can lift the world. I built an empire, Sophia. But you gave it a soul. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I don't know what to say. Say yes, he whispered. She laughed through her tears. Yes. Robert smiled, looking out at the skyline. Good. Then my job is done. The sun dipped below the horizon, bathing them both in golden light, a perfect, quiet ending. Years later, the old diner still stood, newly renovated, with a plaque near the door. This is where kindness changed a life. Inside, a young waitress was finishing her shift. Tired, busy, distracted. She noticed a man sitting alone at the counter, staring into his coffee, worn, quiet, and lost. She hesitated, then packed up the leftovers. Here, she said softly. Don't waste it. The man looked up, surprised, then smiled. And so, the cycle began again. Because kindness, when shared, never truly ends. If a single act of kindness could change your destiny, would you still do it, even if no one ever noticed?